Hey everybody, look, it went live right away.
Oh,
all right, hey guys, thanks for joining us. Show number 2 today, but such an important show. We're with Michelle Sperzel with Harbor House of Central Florida.
Well done.
I got it, right?
Yep.
And we are excited not only to have her on here today, but to talk about Harbor House, but to talk about the event that's coming up this Saturday, right?
Yeah, this Saturday.
All right, so let us know you can hear us or see us. I know you can see us, but give us a thumbs up. Rose Kemp's on. Thanks, Rose. Thanks, Ralph. I'm excited. I actually wish that I know that Ted Maines was going to try to come on, but he couldn't be on today because he's the honorary chair.
He's
right?
the chair.
He's
with
the chair
Donatella.
with Donatella.
Who's gorgeous.
I love Ted Maines. I love Jeffrey Miller. I love all those guys.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
They do so much great things in our community. So give them a little background first on you, because we always like to get the background on the guest, and then we'll transition into Harbor House, and then we'll transition into the event. And Brenda Borders is on, and she says greetings if you can't see it. I have to have this going and that going so I can see things, because when you get my age, Michelle Sperzel, you can't see things as well as you would hope that you could see them. So welcome. We got lots of hearts, so we're golden.
Perfect.
All right, so give us a little background on you.
Sure. So the short version would be the short version
You
is.
can go the long version. It's fine. We don't limit here.
So funny. I'm a gypsy nomad. So I grew up in Wisconsin. From Wisconsin, I moved to Arizona and lived out in Tucson and also in Phoenix. And then from there, I went to Alabama. Lived in Birmingham for a bit.
Military?
Nope.
Wow.
Nope.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm just kind of a gypsy. So, and then from Alabama, I moved down to the coast. So I was in Destin, Florida. And that's when I got into domestic violence work. I've been in nonprofit my entire career, but I got into the domestic violence work when I was in Destin. And then from Destin, moved back to the Midwest. I moved to Chicago. And then from Chicago here.
All right, so you didn't make the natural transition south. You had to go north first, into the cold, and realize, oh God, I can't do that. I have to come back to the beaches.
Yeah, it was 2 winters, and I'm like, why did I come back here?
It's just too cold. I love to go up there, but it's fun to visit, not in the cold, but it's fun to visit. But wow, yeah, I couldn't live there. I can't function there.
I mean, Chicago's a great city.
It's such
great
a wonderful
food.
city.
Being close to my family again was wonderful. Being there with my nephews and just awesome food, Midwestern food.
The food up there, like Chicago's amazing.
It's great culinary.
Honestly, it's so good. All right, so
yes.
Now you're here and you are the CEO. Is that the right
yep,
word?
I'm the CEO of
for Harbor House.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about Harbor House. It's one of I love Harbor House. I've done the walk a mile in her shoes for the past 4 or 5 years. I think the organization, Michelle's on, so she's not worried
Hi,
anymore.
Michelle.
Hey, Michelle. I've done the walk. I think it's what you all do and what you accomplish in our city and the people that you serve it's such a blessing. So tell them a little bit about Harbor House.
Sure. So Harbor House, we're the only certified domestic violence center that serves Orange County. And so when people talk and think about a domestic violence center, they typically think about an emergency shelter, or they think about they think about a hotline, so an emergency crisis
Correct.
hotline. And we do have that, but we also have other outreach offices. So one of our most important programs would be our court program. So we have attorneys that are there. If someone needs to file an injunction, they can just go right into our office, and we have advocates that will help you file the injunction. And then also if you need a lawyer, we have lawyers that can help you.
Because it's scary.
That.
What happens is, and Diane, we'll get to your question in just a second. Thanks for asking that. What happens is you're already in that crazy crisis mode. You finally feel like you can take the chance and you're going to try to get out of, or you want to get out of the situation that you're in a domestic violence situation, domestic abuse. And then you are afraid because you don't know the resources. You don't have the money to get an attorney, or you feel like you don't even know how to maneuver through that. Mm-hmm. And you all provide them the resources, or at least the information, so that they can. Because a lot of times that's what holds them back. They don't know where to go. They know there are shelters, mm-hmm. There's a place to go, but they don't understand that you're going to help them past that. It's not just a place to lay your head for the night so you get you can kind of get your wherewithal. It's actually a resource.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And the advocates that we have that are working in all aspects of our organization are phenomenal, and they do exactly that. And one thing that I'm very proud of is the fact is that we are incredibly caring, empathetic, but accepting. A lot of individuals who are going through domestic violence, they have everybody who's telling them what to do. And instead we listen and we give you different options of how you can better your situation, but really you're the person in the driving seat.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
I had a friend that didn't know where to go. And it's funny to me because I know, but I'm involved, right? And so if you don't know where to go, sometimes the situation you're in, the person you might be trying to get away from is checking your internet, checking your history, and so it's a scary place to do any kind of research. And so you only have this limited amount of time or these limited amount of resources to even find it, which I had to learn because to me I was just like, why aren't you Googling or why aren't you just figuring it out? But it's not that easy when you're in that situation, and so you don't know where to go. And I always promote Harbor House as much as I can on the show because I feel like that what you offer, and so this particular individual, to give you the example, she was in that situation. She didn't have an attorney. She knew she needed one. She had actually been served with papers, and they were trying to Baker Act her. That was the mind game that the partner was trying to play on her. And I couldn't believe that that was actually happening in our system and that the court system was actually siding with the person who was trying to Baker Act her. But you all came in and provided her with the attorney services, provided her with the recommendations and the advice that she needed. Otherwise, she would have had nowhere to go. She wouldn't have known what to do. Yeah. And I think that we don't think about that. If you're not in it, you don't think about the things that you have to go through in order to make your escape, those are my words, but make it out of the situation into a safe haven so that you can get your thoughts together. For some people, or for most, getting to that safe haven, they haven't had their thoughts together at all up until that point or been able to get them together.
Haven't had the space anywhere to
there's no
to do that.
There's no space, and so you can't mentally, you can't figure out, oh my God, you can't be in that spot unless you've been in that spot. But what I would encourage people to do is to really kind of think about, what if I didn't have access to the internet? What if I didn't have access to a phone? What if making a phone call was tracked the whole time? I mean, there are things you think that people can get out, and that's the other thing I always try to encourage people. It's not as easy as you think it is. Second delay. We're back. All right, so go ahead. Everybody says.
Why doesn't she just leave?
Yeah, why doesn't she just leave?
Great points. And so people say, why doesn't she just leave? Another thing is that when she does leave, or when he does leave, because we know that domestic violence happens to men as well, that is the most dangerous time in that relationship. And so working with an advocate at that time, especially working with an injunction attorney or working with any of our court advocates, is so important. And also, like I said, we believe you, and we know that you know your abuser better than anybody else.
Correct. And
so if you say that you are in danger, then we honor that, then you are in danger, and we will do what we can in order to help you. Another thing you talked about as far as like being safe and looking things up. So if you go to our website, or a lot of different domestic violence centers have this as well, so if you don't even come to ours, but if you go to harborhousefl.com, there's going to be an escape button on there. So if you are searching on our website, if you hit escape, then it deletes it from the cookies as well, which is another safety precaution that we have, because we want to do as much as we can to remove barriers as far as someone seeking services.
Sure.
So, which is one reason why we have our on-site kennels. That's another.
All right,
barrier.
so let's talk about this.
Like
This I love that you're really good at this. I need as much help as I can possibly get. But the kennels, that is so important. So what I didn't know until I began the walk a mile in her shoes, was that Harbor House allows, I don't know if it's just dogs, I assume it's dogs, but it could be
cats.
Dogs, cats.
Guinea pigs,
so
fish,
what happens, Shirley says she's so cute, isn't she? She's awesome.
You're just so nice, thank you.
What happens, which I didn't know until you all educated me, is that if you're trying to make the move, you're trying to escape, basically, and you absolutely don't want to leave the family pet because your kids have already been through enough, and that's one more trauma that they're going to have to experience. And plus, you love your pet, you love their family member, and you don't want to leave them. With Harbor House, they have a kennel program, and you can actually take your animal with you, so it takes away that barrier of, gosh, I don't want to leave another loved one here in this house, and my kids, I don't want my kids to go through it. I don't want to go through it personally. And so that was to me, that's such a unique program that Harbor House offers. So talk about the kennel program.
Sure. So you're exactly right. The reason that we have our on-site kennel is because we want to make sure that an entire family can come in and be safe, and so that someone doesn't have to make that choice of leaving their animal behind. And 88% of women, or I should say survivors who come into emergency shelters, say that they delay leaving because they don't want to leave their pets behind. And then also, it's a really high percentage, the number of individuals who say, and that we've worked with, who say that the animals were harmed first, or that their abuser kicked, burnt, threw their dog, their cat, or anything, that there was abuse that happened to the animal. And so we want to make sure that we're able to provide safety for everybody.
Sure.
And so the kennel that we have, there's a cat room, and then there's also a dog room. Anybody, when you have your pet there, you take care of your pet yourself, so it's not something that we are going there. It's not like a typical kennel in that. So you can go up there at any time and get your dog out, take your dog for a walk around the campus, or just let the dog out in the dog run and play out in the backyard with your dog. We added some furniture in there and want to kind of update that. That's one reason why we're doing the walk and raising money for the Paws kennel. And what we're doing is that, for instance, in the cat room, we added a futon, so you can pull it out and you can actually take a cat nap with your cat, because that purring is very therapeutic for somebody.
Sure.
And then we also want to add some furniture to our cat lanai. It's really a porch, but I like to call it a cat lanai.
It's a cat lanai. We're going to hashtag that. I love that.
Super fancy. But we also want to add some shade area. We have some dog runs that we don't utilize a lot because they're in full sun. So we want to add some some shade to the dog runs, and then add kennel planks, and then make it just a lot safer back there. So, and it's amazing. I would have to say some of my favorite moments being an advocate have been a part of the kennel experience. And so one dog, and I can't say his name, but he was just a grinner. And so whenever I would go up there, he would be out there in his morning doing his stuff in the morning, and the survivor would be out there as well, and he would come running up to the fence with his just big giant grin on his face. And you just know that joy that he had being there with his owner was also that unconditional love, which is so therapeutic for the survivor, for the kids. And there's that routine of, also, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to walk my dog, or spend some time with my cat.
And if you have to make the choice, you're leaving another family member behind.
Absolutely.
Is what you're thinking, what you're going through. You're like, I don't want to leave. You love that animal. They're part of your family.
Absolutely.
And so to have to leave them, that adds to the trauma of what you're trying to do, and you know you need to do it, but that prohibits people from doing it. Like, it actually is a stumbling block for women and men to get out of the household because they don't want to leave them behind for a lot of crazy reasons. All right, so we have the walk. It's the 8th annual Paws for Peace walk.
Yes, peace, love, and paws.
Peace, which I love. I'll hashtag that too. Peace, love, and paws.
Yeah.
That is this Saturday, and tell them more information about that. We already said that Ted Maines is the chairman with Donatella.
Yeah.
You have to look. She's beautiful. She's a mini greyhound. No,
she's an Italian greyhound.
Italian greyhound.
She's gorgeous.
She's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And Ted's been he's such a great proponent in our community.
Such a phenomenal advocate, yeah.
So tell them about the walk, though. So can anybody come out? Give them some more information.
Sure. So it's a fun walk, and it's a little bit less than a mile, and it's in Blue Jacket Park, so in the Baldwin Park area. And it is on Saturday. We're going to have registration open around 8, and the walk itself starts at 9. And it's going to be, we have a silent auction that's there as well. We're going to have some fun activities for the kids. There's going to be a bounce house. Rumor has it we're going to be having some of the water dogs bobbing for tennis balls.
Oh my God.
So we're going to have that as well. So some fun activities as far as that's concerned. Channel 6 is a phenomenal partner, and a couple of the anchors will be out there, and the reporters will be out there. They did a Facebook Live, and it was amazing. They had the camera on their dog, and so you saw everything at dog level. So
I know. Awesome. I was kind of hoping we could sneak dogs in here at the club.
Yeah,
but I kind of knew better.
I know.
I'm already pushing my luck as it is.
We're gonna sneak in the puppy, but it didn't work.
I would have loved that. would have loved that. Can anybody, if you don't have an animal, you can still come out?
Absolutely. And it's not just dogs. We had some people come out last year and they had their cats out and they had their cats in their strollers.
Nice.
We had someone come
cats
out with
cats and strollers.
Yes.
I love you guys. I think that's so awesome, though. It's your family.
It's
your
your
baby.
family. Yes. I don't have kids, but I have lots of furry babies. So.
And so, can people also donate? Like Diane actually asked the question earlier, real quick.
Do
you accept? Goods, right? Something about gently used household items.
The answer to that would be yes. We do have individuals who are living in our emergency shelter who are going to be moving out on their own, so that's always.
So how do people get involved? Obviously we've got the walk, which we just did last month or 2 months ago.
In February.
I can't believe we're April. We have the Paws for Peace this Saturday.
Yeah.
How can people volunteer? Do you have? Is there a way for them to go to the site and say, "I'd like to participate"? Is there a way for them to go to the site and say, "I want to donate"?
Absolutely. So our Harbor House website, which is harborhousefl.com, there's an area where you can get help or give help. But if you want to go to the give help area, that's where you can sign up for the walk. It'll take you right to the registration page, or you can type in Paws for Peace, and we should be one of the first things that comes up on Google.
Absolutely.
Alex. But yeah, we have a phenomenal volunteer coordinator. Her name is Darlene, and we have different ways for you to volunteer. If you want to, your office wants to provide meal one night, we have a meal program. So what mom doesn't want to have one day off from cooking, and so we want to provide that in our emergency shelter as well.
Sure.
And so we have different people who, it'll be pizza night or spaghetti night. So we have different people who come in and bring food or cook food for our survivors. And then we have like play dates with the kids, especially with summer coming up.
Sure.
We're always looking for groups of people who want to come in and hang out with the kids. We serve right around 800 individuals. It's creeping up more to 1,000 every year, and half of those are kids. And we know for summer, we're expecting, I think we have 45 kids living with us right now. And so come summertime, they're all going to be there. And so we really do a lot as far as providing different types of experiences for the kids on campus during the summer.
So so that's interesting. Hey, Neil, I'm glad you're back from Vegas.
I love Vegas.
I do too. So somebody could bring in, because the confidentiality is so critical.
Mm-hmm.
Campus is critical as far as security goes, obviously for the same reasons you see on all of the programs and read about. It's true, and worse actually. But how does somebody engage in that? Like if somebody wanted to donate bounce houses for the kids, or somebody wanted to bring in, I don't know, something entertainment wise for the kids, is that doable, or does it have to be done? How does that work? Because I think a lot of people will go, okay, there are ways that I can donate, or I can donate my time or my services. What's the best way for people to do that?
Sure. So depending on what it would be working with our volunteer coordinator. So you said, for instance, donating a bounce house. So what we would do is we would make sure we have our own database, and so we would collect everybody's names and we'd run those individuals through our own database.
As you should.
As first. And then we have everybody sign off on a confidentiality waiver. And then if someone would break the confidentiality, then it would be something that we could go after them.
Gotcha. Good. Good. No, you have to protect, because here's the deal. What happens is that you never know what's going on, and you have all of these people that are depending on you to protect them, and they've made that move, and so they're trusting you. And I like to say the psychology of this, because what's happened is it's the first time that they're trusting to get out, and you cannot risk breaking that trust.
Absolutely. And we are really we share the list of who's coming on campus with the people who are living with us.
That's awesome.
And there's a board right there. And so if someone comes up to us and says, this person, I know this person, and this is not a good thing, then we call that person and we say, you cannot come on campus.
Because you have to listen to them. And I know you all do. But that's so what happens, are you trying to build, I know this isn't that fundraiser, but you're housing 45 kids right now. Is the goal eventually to continue to grow the housing unit, and you're doing more fundraisers? Like after Paws for Peace, what's the next fundraiser that you guys will do?
Yeah, so after Paws for Peace, we have our Purple Door Luncheon, and that's going to be in October.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And what we're doing right now is that we are looking at the emergency shelter that we were in, and we moved across campus. We're going to be looking at turning those into apartments. And I'm working with an architect right now. His name is Bruce Hall, and he's amazing. He's helping us create a master plan for the entire campus, but specifically we want to have a kids area. So have a soccer pitch, have a full basketball court, have things for them to do. And then it's not going to just be for the kids. It's also going to be for, moms, because everybody likes to play ball.
Right.
So, I mean, and you can also have teens playing with their mom and whatnot.
All right, so we've got a question, and it's a great question. Thanks, Michelle. How do I know if someone, a friend, family member, or coworker might be experiencing domestic violence?
So one, there's a lot of different signs that you would be able to see if a friend or a loved one is experiencing domestic violence. And domestic violence is a lot more than just physical. So people will say, you know what, well, she's wearing long sleeves, she's wearing a turtleneck, right. It's 90 degrees out, so that would be one. But another one would be someone who is very isolated. You notice that they really are here on their own. They might have just moved here, they don't know anybody. They might be that you also have a friend of yours that they have to constantly check in with their partner. And we're not talking about, honey, I'm going to the grocery store, I'm going to pick something up. But it's, right. I'm going to the grocery store, okay, I got to the grocery store, okay, I'm checking out right now. So there's no opportunity for that person to stray.
Correct.
Or you have a friend who says, he always knows where I am. I don't know how he always knows where I am. And so that's another red flag that's right there. Someone who, if you have an employee who their partner is calling them all the time at work, that's another red flag for an abusive relationship. And that's also economic abuse because of the fact that that person might lose their job
100%.
because of the fact that person keeps on calling in. Someone who has a lower than they should self-esteem, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. It could be that they're experiencing a lot of mental and verbal abuse when they get home. So that's another sign would be someone who.
Yeah, I mean, I think what Michelle is saying is that it's great. You go with your gut. That's what I always knew. Like, I think that you can see the signs, and if something looks off, then it probably is, unless you're one of those crazy dramatic people that like to create a whole bunch of drama out of nothing. But 99% of the people on here, look, if you see something and it doesn't feel right, or you're talking to someone and they're not making eye contact, that was one of the big things that we used to do. We used to be able to identify their self-esteem is lower than you would expect. All of the things Michelle just said.
They have an allowance. They don't have access to their money.
Allowance.
Yeah,
yes.
They don't have access to their money.
I don't have access to my money. That's what you should definitely, if somebody says that to you, you definitely have to, but these are, how do people find the resource? So we're talking about it on the video now, or on the show now, but if somebody wants to check it out and go, I wonder if my friend is there a resource for people who are concerned about people on Harbor House, or is there a resource on the website, or is there a resource that you can direct them to?
Yeah, you can always go to our website. You can always call our hotline as well. And so, or the statewide hotline, and just do a check-in to say, I feel like my sister might be going through this. Can I just tell you some of the things that are happening, and then the advocates will help you as well.
Yes,
it's not just for people who are experiencing domestic violence, directly. It is for the entire community that's along with it.
And I want to encourage you, I mean, I've talked about this on the show before, as a victim of abuse, me personally, it was so wonderful to have anybody who would speak up and try to go that extra mile. And I know that feels like a risk to the people who are wanting to get involved and are concerned. But honestly, it was a lifesaver for me in many aspects. And so don't be afraid. If you've got a gut feeling, call the resources at Harbor House and talk it through with what do you call it? It's an advocate. Yeah. I like that. Talk it through with an advocate, because don't just push it away, I guess is my recommendation and my personal advice to you from someone who's experienced it as a kid. You do. You have this gut. We all do. And we know when something isn't right, it doesn't make sense, it looks weird. And so don't just sit back and not do something. It was very powerful in my life when somebody stood up, and sometimes that's a lifesaver. honestly.
Well, and Tony, who is the chair of Walk a Mile in Her Shoes, he often says, he's like, I would rather lose a friend because I spoke up than lose a friend because she or he was killed.
100%. I'm still grateful to the people. I still remember the people that helped me out. And so can you imagine if they had not done that? I always will. And I still keep in contact with many of them. And I think it's just so important for us to take a risk. It's really not a risk. It's not like you're being over dramatic. So talk it through with an advocate at Arbor House. And maybe they can say, hey, you know, that doesn't sound exactly right. Or they'll at least give you some guidance on what to do. But it's so much better to speak up than shut up. I'm just a big proponent of say something, and you're right, your friend Tony is right. I'd rather lose people in my life that don't want to hear about it than lose a life. Or, you know, there are a lot of things that can happen that are, unfortunately, in my experience, worse than losing the life. It's very challenging to be a child or a parent in that situation. And thankfully, I haven't had to deal with that as a parent, but as a kid, I had to deal with it. So, Ash Sharma says, hey Ted, Michelle is a great guest, wonderful information. Lots of hearts. Do you see all the hearts going by?
I do see all the hearts.
So, all right, so we're going to post all of the information about the 8th annual Paws for Peace, Paws, Peace, and Love hashtag, which is this Saturday, Blue Jacket Park in Baldwin Park, right?
Yeah.
And registration we'll post all of that, we'll share all of that. You've been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate all you guys do. Appreciate you, Michelle, the other Michelle, for coordinating this and
making sure I got here.
Making sure she got there. So we'll post all the contact information. We love you guys. Thanks for all the hearts.
Yeah, thank you for all the love.
What you guys are doing is amazing and so necessary. It's sad, but it's necessary, and we appreciate what you do. We love you guys. Thank you. We'll see you soon.